Hi guys, welcome to our first ever Scout Watchlist stream. I'm Nymfria, and with Gameweek 24 still taking place, it's never too early to start thinking about the next game week and a fab time to visit some Watchlist players ahead of Gameweek 25. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Kylie. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Excited to be live for the first time on Watchlist.
A new dynamic for us.
It is, yeah. It's a nice Thursday afternoon. There's a bit of sunshine outside. KDB scored last night.
He did.
My captain.
Mine too.
He's brushed away some of the recent trauma that many of us experienced with Dennis not that long ago. So I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about the world at large.
Yeah, definitely. Please do bear with us and feel free to get some questions in the chat, and hopefully we'll get around to some as we go along. But with a double for United and Brighton ahead, Kylie, what will we be attempting to cover today?
Right. So if you've watched the watch list before, you'll know that we don't necessarily look at the obvious targets. You're probably already thinking about getting the likes of Bruno or De Gea in if you don't already have them. We will be taking a bit of a focused look at the double game week, of course, but sometimes we like to think a little bit outside the box and looking a little further beyond that as well. So we are going to be looking at that. This is live as at Thursday afternoon, of course. So whatever information we have now is what we'll be discussing. And if there's anything else that crops up, obviously make sure that you follow that before making any transfers.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Okay then, well, let's move on to our first picks. And our first pick ahead of Game Week 25 is Dalot. So he's a United defender, and I considered Dalot for my own team last game week. I was kind of between him and a Wolves defender, and I was umming and ahhing, and I was thinking, shall I get Dalot in? It would be nice to have another double game week player, but I wasn't really sure if I was going to go Ronaldo, in which case I've already got De Gea and I've got Bruno, so putting Dalot in, I was a bit kind of like, that kind of cuts off my route to Ronaldo if I want to go there. But also, I was like, do I really want to double up on United defence at the moment? However, he's really cheap at 4.5 million, so he has gone up. In fact, I think he might be 3.6 now. 3.3% owned though, so that's really, really good. That's kind of ultimate differential. He has great fixtures as well, right, Kylie?
Yeah, he does have really good fixtures. So obviously the key reason that we're talking about him, let's be honest, is the fact that he's got a double game week imminently. Yes. That's Southampton at home and Brighton at home as well. So that's obviously a really good combination on paper. Probably I'd argue a better combination for attack, maybe, given the fact that, Southampton scored 3 goals last night, so not sure. And of course, the challenge we have is that United's defence have found a way to concede no matter what. But
what was frustrating about that was that I had I had Ramsdale in as my goalkeeper until 2 minutes before the deadline, and then thought, I've seen loads of teams with De Gea in. Maybe I should have De Gea instead, and switch last minute. And now I'm here going, as an Arsenal fan, really hope that Ramsdale concedes tonight.
Well, I have Ramsdale, so I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. But anyway, I think we're always a bit optimistic ahead of a double game week, right? The fact of the matter is they do have 2 good fixtures. They've then got Leeds away in 26, that is a single game week. And then they've got Watford away in 27. Now, that one's pretty key, of course, because of the fact that many people will be trying to navigate the next couple of weeks without chips. Some might be wildcarding, some might free hit in 27, particularly if they have both of their free hits available.
Yeah.
But there are so many that have already used one. And of course, on the horizon, Game Week 30 is looking like a pretty massive blank week. Really quite difficult to navigate without a free hit. So a lot of people like myself will be trying to just sort of muddle through the next few. And having a team like Watford, who under Roy anyway aren't looking particularly prolific in front of goal, suggests that maybe they might get a clean sheet there. And if you do have a lot of Arsenal and Liverpool come Game Week 27, which I think most of us will, because they have great fixtures in 26, then having someone like him that you can wheel out from perhaps the bench isn't a bad option. After 27, it gets a little bit rough. They've got City, Tottenham, then Liverpool, or a blank in 30, depending how obviously the next round of the FA Cup goes. But by and large, the fixtures are pretty decent. I mean, I guess the question, Nim, is like, how are United looking and how confident are we that something's actually going to come through for people?
Yeah, I think Fizz put in the chat there, I don't think United have had a clean sheet for literally weeks. And to be honest...
months, it feels
yes,
like.
It's true. United have kept only 5 clean sheets this season, 3 with Dalot on the pitch. So United seem defensively better with him in there. But, you know, those clean sheets came against Crystal Palace, Norwich and West Ham. So as you say, with those kind of slightly better fixtures for United, there's a chance, I guess, a bit of a chance at least, that they could keep the clean sheet in that double. You know, what are the stats, Kylie?
Yeah, okay. Obviously, defensively, United's defense is a problem. De Gea has obviously been superb. Like, I think nobody is questioning that. You watch him at the moment on current form and you think, how many goals would United be conceding if not for De Gea? Frustratingly, one continues to find its way into the net, which is really not helpful for anyone holding defensive assets from United. Look, I think you're just going to have to... here's what I think. Okay, a lot of people have De Gea. I don't think that you're going to get a lot of people who are going to want to double up, right? And I wouldn't advocate for that. But I think there's still people out there who don't have De Gea, and maybe there's an element of it's an insurance policy in case they do get a clean sheet. They do have good fixtures for it. It's just, can they keep it together at the back? I don't know. I can't provide a guarantee on that. I think the defensive worries are a bit problematic. I mean, one of the benefits of Dalot is that he does look to have attacking potential. Certainly his heat map is really impressive, right? So it does demonstrate that he is an attacking option. I mean, the stats, his XG 0.25, his XA 0.53, nothing major that you're going to write home about. But I think he does pass the eye test. He is cheap if you're going to try and keep faith in United. He has created 6 chances over the last 4 game weeks. So that's not nothing. I think, you know, he's quite a decent option. For me personally, not one I'm going to be going for. And that's simply because the next game week, I don't have any double game weekers yet. And I want Bruno because I want to captain him. And I have trauma associated with Ronaldo, so I'm not going back there. I'm just not doing it. And then I have Ramsdale as my primary keeper. So I do have a keeper issue, and I will be deciding between Sanchez and De Gea for that. So I'm just not willing to take another hit to get a defender in. But I think if you have a weak bench, as many probably do, Livramento may or may not be back. I know I've certainly been holding him for ages. Dalot could be a good fix there if you're well set up already.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to our second pick, and it's another double game week player in McAllister Brighton. It's a decent double there, right, Kylie? And he's got some nice fixtures, just generally anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the fixtures aren't too bad. Like, on the surface, United doesn't sound great, but then we've just talked about how we're not massively impressed with their defense anyway, and they are capable of conceding a goal. And as we know, Brighton just seem to finish every single match they play 1-1. So, you know, someone's bound to get that goal, right? And it might be McAllister. So as far as fixtures are concerned, Watford and United. Right. I think we would have said maybe 2-3 weeks ago, however long ago it was, that Roy Hodgson got hired. It's all a bit of a blur. But we probably would have said
they all blend into each other now.
Yeah. That was just the longest week. It was. 23. That was
it really was.
But essentially, I think when Watford were under Ranieri, we would have been smacking our lips at this fixture because they were conceding so many goals. They definitely are looking more resolute, or it's certainly a focus for Hodgson to defend better. So that's maybe not as much a gimme fixture as it otherwise looked, but it's still not a bad fixture, and United concede. So I think there's some potential there. Then they've got Burnley and Villa at home, 26-27. So again, he's another good option to get you through the likes of the blank in 27. I think with McAllister as well, just because of his price, he's eminently benchable. That is something that is helpful when you're looking to get through the next couple of weeks. He doesn't have a double in 26, but you can bench him. They've Newcastle in 28. And what I would say is that that's kind of the last nice one for a little while, because they do have a fairly tough run, Liverpool, City, or a blank, and then Arsenal in 32. So do bear that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're saying, he is that great price point, isn't he? At just 5.3, which is a saving on Trossard at 6 million. I mean, I've had Trossard now for as many weeks as I can remember, since the last double, I think, and he has been a real disappointment.
Do you currently have Trossard?
I do. So I had the opportunity to sell Gray or Trossard this game week for KDB because I had that much money in the bank, and I decided to go with Gray. Thankfully, so far that's been okay because Gray went off injured and he only got the 1 point, and hopefully that means I have Trossard for the double next game week. But yeah, he has been, a real disappointment, and McAllister is a great little differential at 0.7% owned. His attacking threat isn't bad either, is it, Kylie?
No, it's not bad. It's not quite on par with Trossard, but like you, to be honest, anyone who follows me on Twitter is probably familiar with the fact that I have a massive vendetta against Trossard. He's done me wrong so many times. I can't even with him anymore. I just refuse. So while McAllister, his stats aren't quite at Trossard level, they're not massively far behind. He has had 9 attempts over the last 4 games, and that's bettered only by Trossard amongst the Brighton outfield players. And Trossard's only had 10, right? So there's very little in the difference between the two. He's joint top for shots on target for Brighton players in that period as well. So he is one of their core attacking threats at the moment. His XG for the season, not amazing, 2.85. And an XA of 1.26. But of course, it's not like he's been playing every single game. He has certainly come into the fore in recent times. So I think he's someone that if you're inclined to go for a differential in midfield, then he could be someone that's nice. And again, he's quite cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's done okay in terms of returns for his price as well. 4 goals and 2 assists this season, 2 goals and 1 assist coming in the last 4 game weeks. So they are recent returns. Are you considering McAllister at all, Kylie, maybe for the double?
I'm not. And the only reason I'm not is because in midfield at the moment, there's so much to juggle. It's getting Bruno in for this week. It's then getting Salah in, of course. And then, there's other players I'm quite interested in. And I actually already have quite a few in my team in midfield who double already. So it would be a case of selling one, to gain another. And in that case, I can't really justify it. That said, if I was in a slightly different position and there was someone in my midfield that I was willing to sacrifice, I would take a punt on him because he is so low owned. It feels a pretty low risk punt to me.
Absolutely. He's a great option based on everything we've talked about. But let's move on to our third pick. And our third pick is Pope of Burnley, sneaking a rare goalkeeper into our watch list here, Kylie. It's not something we do regularly.
No.
Pope going largely under the radar, I think, because of his fairly expensive price tag of 5.4 million. But he is just 2.3% owned. So that's a nice percentage if you wanted to differentiate on a goalkeeper. I haven't really considered Burnley defence at all so far this season. I'm not really sure why. I mean, they have great fixtures coming up.
They do. I actually have to interject with, I just had a quick look at the live chat, which is quite funny. And Nuclear Atoms with some excellent advice for me. I think he might have heard me moaning about Brighton so many times before, because he said, just avoid Brighton altogether, Kylie, save the pain.
Yes.
You know what? I'm so with you there. And there was another excellent one by Belliapa, I'm sorry, MJ, I might have pronounced that incorrectly. Is Kylie half Aussie? No, she's full Aussie.
She's full Aussie.
She's full Aussie.
Yeah.
I've just been living in Ireland for a while, so maybe that's done something funny to the accent.
Absolutely. Yes.
So jumping
back to Pope's fixtures.
Back to Pope. Yeah. He has gone under the radar, but part of that is obviously because Burnley have been deeply unimpressive this year. You know, what we expect from them is to be incredibly resolute, not really score that many goals. But they've had quite a trying time. That's obviously resulted in them being firmly in the relegation battle this year.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the fixtures are a bit mixed, but it's not too bad because obviously he's got a double in game week 26. You know, we know that he's got more fixtures to drop in. So the double, of course, is Brighton away and Spurs at home. That is quite mixed. You know, we don't necessarily expect them to keep a clean sheet against Spurs. Brighton, you know, you don't know. Then they've got a match in 27 against Palace. Again, that point, that's noteworthy for Ramsdale owners, actually. You know, obviously Ramsdale doesn't play in 27. So there's one there. Game week 25, which is the next one, isn't great. They're playing Liverpool, right? And I think the majority of people at this point really have one or other of Sanchez or De Gea, who they will prioritize playing in that game week. So I don't think that anyone's going to advocate for going a Pope move straight away. And you've got other priorities because you're thinking about the game week 25 double. Where I think he's quite interesting is if we get past game week 25, and then you're in a situation where you're looking at Pope with a double in 26. He's still got like 3 extra fixtures to be scheduled after that. Yeah. They have a fairly decent run. And of course, De Gea will not have any more doubles unless there's more postponements, right? He does not have more following this one to be scheduled in. And Sanchez only has the one against Spurs to be dropped in. So there could be a case for saying, actually, from 26 onwards, I'm going to make a move for Pope. Yeah. I think there's potential for him to come good over the next period. And I think they're really reliant on him doing that if they want to actually have a chance at staying up.
Yeah, I agree with you with that coming double, those fixtures and his recent form. I don't know why I haven't really thought about him. He's had 5 clean sheets this season, which isn't great, but he's only missed 2 matches in which, you know, Burnley conceded. 2 of Burnley's clean sheets coming in the last double against Arsenal. And, you know, I think that it's more his recent form that's what's exciting for us, isn't it, Kylie? What we can see going forward and what he's done, what he did in that last double for, you know, those that were brave enough to go with him, you know, was monster points, wasn't it, basically? So I think the fact that he, you know, he did quite well there could, you know, give him something and us something, as you say, with all of these fixtures to be, you know, announced and coming in. And I think it really means that he could become an option on wild cards that haven't been used yet, you know, a good way, another keeper, so to speak, than just the ones that are already there. Would you like to give some shout outs to some people who have joined us in the chat, Kylie?
Sure. So we have, oh God, bear with me, guys. I'm so not used to live chat. I'm like just mastering it all now. I'm a bit of a newbie. So we've got Rune, Biz113, Magic69, Frostbite.
Wow.
Very winter appropriate name
nice,
there.
Guys.
Steve Chrysanthus. Hope is 5.4, not worth the price. Well, you know, I mean, he's probably not. He is a bit expensive, right? I mean, no one's going to argue with that.
No.
But the reality is we've all got quite a bit of money. Some of it's going to be taken up, okay, obviously, as we all invest in Salah and so on. But I think it's really hard to differentiate your team at the moment. Burnley is an opportunity, but Burnley's also a team that's a bit frightening to invest anywhere else on the pitch. Yeah. You know, I'm not sure that I'd be going for any of their defenders. And Pope, maybe it's nostalgia blinding me, but there's a legacy with Pope. There's also the fact that, you know, goalkeepers historically do really, really well in double game weeks. So it's just like, it causes the little cha-ching ching in my mind, you know, that makes me think he's going to get like a 15-point haul. And I think it also bears saying, so Nim, you were talking about the fact that their recent form has improved. It definitely has. If you look at the last 3 game weeks that Pope has played, bearing in mind he missed the 2 before that, he's made 14 saves in that period. He's got 5 bonus points as well.
Yeah.
You look at the last 4 matches for Burnley, right? Bearing in mind that one of those he did not play, 22 shots on target conceded. So that's like joint 3rd worst, right? So he's missed one of those matches, and look at the volume that he's saved. The 2 matches that he missed, they conceded 6 goals that between the 2 matches. One was against Leeds, one was against United. So we can definitely see that there is an improvement happening there. And we know that Pope, because frankly, Burnley team is not amazing, doesn't really have anyone competing with him for bonus. So when he makes saves or keeps a clean sheet, he mops the bonus up.
Absolutely.
So I think if you want to try something a little bit different and you've got a bit of the keeper Rick Morrell situation happening, there's a just case. I might go for him.
And before you judge us on some of these picks, we do have some good previous, don't we? I mean, we did pick, Ramsey.
Ramsey was your pick last week.
He was.
We mentioned
Son, I think, last week.
No, that was Kane, actually.
I think we mentioned him with Son, though. Didn't we?
Yeah. Well, Son to come, actually. But Coutinho has been featured. Robbo before his run. So, you know, some of our boring picks. Granted, last week Nim picked Ramsey for hers and I picked Edward. So, you know, there's some flops as well. I'll own that. And I actually brought Edward in for his classic 1-pointer to block Dawson's clean sheet from the bench.
Oh no, Kylie.
Much appreciated.
I did have Dawson in, so I was quite grateful of that clean sheet. But I think I don't take these just because we have Watchlist Game Week 25. I think it's just worth noting that a lot of these picks we're not just thinking of with one game week most of the time we are looking a couple of weeks in ahead. Of course, you know, Dalot would be somebody we'd be considering short term, but in Pope's case we'd be considering long term. So there is, you know, we're trying to give you guys a bit of everything in these videos and not just kind of restrict it to one thing. Okay, let's move on. And it's that time of the episode where we're going to have a quick look at the Fantasy Football Scout watch list ahead of the coming game weeks, which you can find on the first page of the website. It takes into account all the form and the fixtures, as well as player position. With all of that in mind, what's standing out for you on the Scout watch list this week, Kylie?
Right, I'm just pulling it up at the moment, actually. And I note that Pope is 3rd on the goalkeeper watch list.
See, we're not nuts.
Indication. And I'll note that only De Gea and Sanchez are ahead of him. And that's cheating. They have a double, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
Obviously, removing that, Pope is a top pick. I will absolutely take that stamp of authority.
If it goes wrong, it was all Kylie's pick. If it goes right, it was both picks.
I would do the same, so I can't even blame you for that logic. If we're looking at it, interesting, if we're looking at the defensive charts, we're seeing a lot of I mean, look, it's Trent, then it's Cancelo, then it's Laporte. Not altogether surprising. Dalot is in 4th. And again, that's a recognition of those doubles. So it is, when you're looking at the watch list as well, that's probably something to factor in, is that those kind of decisions are obviously going to be heavily influenced by, you know, double recency and so on. Robbo there, interestingly, just below Dalot. And I myself went in on Robbo this week. I've got a bit renegade. I'm going to be going for a triple Liverpool with Robbo instead of Josh.
Wow. Okay.
Hopefully
loving that.
End in tears. I'm just trying to do something a bit different. So I'm seeking validation
respecting you for
everywhere.
that. Respecting you for that. I think for me, just looking at the watch list, Leicester and Everton players taking a nosedive down this list, unsurprisingly. Such a shame, especially in Leicester's case, with so many fixtures to be rearranged. I think we were all really hoping we could kind of get on board that Leicester train and ride it to happiness. But unless something, unless something major happens this evening, then I think Leicester are probably looking a little kind of meh at the moment.
Definitely, their defense looks frightening at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, not that their defense has looked good at any point this season.
No.
But I mean, what happened to Soyuncu? Just that's a total tangent, but I have to ask because we were loving him.
I know.
Season, and it's all gone to pot.
Yeah,
so sad.
It has.
Sorry for the tangent.
No worries. Do we have any questions in the chat?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I am an Arsenal fan. I think somebody asked for all my sins. So yes.
Daka is the most informed for Leicester. That's true. We did cover him last week.
Oh, we did.
He hasn't rewarded us yet, but
no, maybe this evening. Farton says, hello, how is triple to Ronaldo? So I think maybe he's asking us, would we triple captain Ronaldo in the double game week? Would you, Kylie?
No, I wouldn't. Because now I think it's probably less likely that Ronaldo will be benched in the double, just simply because he has actually just been rested in the last game. So I think that would give you maybe a bit more reassurance. But his form is inconsistent. United's form is inconsistent. And when we have 26 coming up with Salah, and if you want to go a bit different, potentially Trent or Robbo, or even Son, there are so many options in that 26 double. If you're adamant you don't want to go with Salah, that I think would make a better triple captain decision than Ronaldo.
Yeah, agreed.
Bruno or Ronaldo 25. You must have missed the start where Nim and I both voiced our
strong opinion. Ronaldo.
Dissatisfaction with Ronaldo after the last double. I think we're both going Bruno.
I think we're both sad about the Ronaldo situation and also very over the Ronaldo situation. Definitely. Okay, let's move on to our watch list picks then for double game week 25. And my pick this week is going to be Riyad Mahrez. I know there's a lot of worry in the community about rotation, but that's Pep Roulette. Before he went off to AFCON, he had a mini purple patch of 4 goals and 3 assists in 5 game weeks. Missed one in that run against Brentford. Again, Pep Roulette. I mean, what are you going to do about that? He has 6 goals and 5 assists for the season. One of those coming last night, the goal last night with that penalty, of course. He has the same amount of goals as De Bruyne and the same amount of assists as Bruno in limited minutes of 839. I really flip-flopped this week about going De Bruyne or Mahrez. So my big decision was, if I'm going to take a hit this week, I'm going to take a hit for KDB or Salah because I had the money for them. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure which way to go. And then all of a sudden on Monday, I woke up and I thought, oh, Riyad Mahrez out of nowhere. And I thought, why am I not considering this guy? And so all of a sudden my headache was now, is my hit for Salah, KDB or Mahrez? So as you can imagine, when the penalty went in last night and Mahrez took it, I was like, oh no, what have I done? I really should have gone with Mahrez instead of KDB. However, I did go KDB, and thankfully it made me sweat. It made us wait until late. Until late on in the match, but he did finally match Riyad, which is good. But yeah, I think generally the thing with Riyad is he's probably going to be one of those people that you're not going to get consistent starts out of. He's not going to be somebody you're going to be able to depend upon week about minutes and all of those sorts of things. However, when he plays, he is explosive, right? So he has an XG of 4.92 and an XA of 3.07. So pretty equal chance of returns there. And he is 8.6 million, which is fairly expensive, but it's not as expensive as De Bruyne. So if you wanted a way into City but didn't want to spend quite as much as De Bruyne, then, you could consider him as an option. But of course, he isn't the cheapest of the midfielders when you have, the likes of Bilver and Foden, who are also, in that kind of midfield roulette situation. But I really like Mahrez as a player, Kylie. It's, it is a bit of a shame about his rotation. Has he been in your consideration at all? I guess with these doubles and stuff like that, it's been tough to really look at City, but somehow they just chug away, and we put Cancelo in our teams every week, and we don't even batter an eyelid about the fact that we're doing that. So are we, looking over somebody like Riyad Mahrez?
Well, I guess part of the thing with Cancelo, right, is that he's actually proved himself, touch wood, immune to rotation so far this season in a way that none of us expected. But I guess that is a recognition of how essential he is to that team and how they play. So he kind of he picks himself in that respect.
Yeah.
Riyad Mahrez is a little bit trickier. I mean, personally, I have found that during his tenure at City, I have a tendency to get my timing wrong with him, which is just unfortunate because when watching him, he is a player I love to watch. I think he's fantastic. He absolutely can be explosive, and he has the goods when he plays. It's just one of those things, it can be a bit unfortunate, and it's so hard to know how to get the timing right.
Yeah.
I haven't considered him, partly because I went straight in for De Bruyne from Gameweek 23 onwards, because I wanted him for this little patch here, wanted to captain him this week, and he's obviously got Norwich next week, so I wanted him for that as well, before then having to do the whole juggling to get the likes of Salah in. So given that really midfield is, for me, where the exciting stuff is at the moment, and as I mentioned earlier with respect to McAllister, I've already got people who have doubles, so it's really hard to take them out if I like them for their doubles, to bring in someone like Mahrez or swap KDB for Mahrez. But I do think definitely if you can't get to KDB, which might prove increasingly difficult in the next period because of how we're all investing in premiums again, then he is someone for the run-in that could be really good. And I think you just take it. Like you said, rotation is inevitable with him. Look, rotation is proving inevitable with lots of players this season. But as long as you can net out a really good average over the games that he does play, then I think you're onto a winner. So I don't think it matters too much.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's one that I'm going to firmly place on the watch list and see how, I'll probably get over the double game week and then seriously consider him, on a wild card or, one of those where I feel like I'll be able to make a bit more of a solid bench. So if he doesn't play, I'll be able to bring, somebody in for him. But yeah, it is tough to look beyond KDB because of, mostly security. But, I think Mahrez just looks great, and form is always something that I tend to lean on. But who is your pick for Game Week 25, Kylie?
My pick is not a differential. He is a much-loved Son. Yes. So Son is obviously back. We all love Son.
We do.
He was on the score sheet last night, which is fantastic. He also looked extremely sharp. And I think these are all indicators that we want to see. Again, 26 double, and mostly speaking, really good fixtures right through to the end of the season. And I think a lot of people are deciding between Son and Kane. And for me, I just think seeing him back really makes him the key pick. But I think the reason he's on the watch list as opposed to coming straight in is less to do with his qualities and more to do with that we've got a queue for who to bring in. It's, what order. I don't have Bruno, but I need Bruno. I don't have Salah, but I need Salah. So
I'm really worried about the Salah this evening, actually. He's starting to kind of panic me slightly now. It's the sort of thing when he's not here, you're like, he's not here, it's fine, I don't have Salah. And then as soon as he comes back, you're just, the fear is major.
I know we, on the Deadline Scoutcast, Joe announced that he'd gone in early on bringing Son back and captained him. Not Son, sorry, Salah. And I was thinking, that's pretty ballsy. But now I'm like, oh, God, like against Leicester, we've already been talking about how bad their defense is. So now I've got a bit of envy. But anyway, Son.
Sorry.
So I think the biggest question for people is how do they prioritize him? Do they bring him in? I've seen people on Twitter kind of questioning whether they should invest in Spurs attack. And I absolutely think you should be investing in one of them. And I definitely would be investing in Son. I mean, he's best part of 2 million cheaper than Kane. Let's just throw away the forwards. Like I find forwards completely useless. They're just a source of unhappiness this season. So it's just like get the cheapest ones and then just plump all your money into midfield, including Son. As far as fixtures are concerned, obviously we know they've got a double in. Well, first up, really, they've got a game against Wolves, right, in 25. So that's not an amazing game, right? Because as we know, Wolves have been pretty stingy in defense. So again, that sort of supports the idea that I think you could leave off getting him until 26 and hopefully, and I think he's worth getting in for a hit in 26 for what it's worth. They do have City in 26, which is obviously not ideal, but Spurs have been successful against Pep quite a few times. So I wouldn't put it past them to get something. That said, City just look like a machine at the moment. They've also got a game against Burnley that game week, which could be more lucrative. And they've got Leeds and Everton. And in fact, if you look at the course of their run-in for the season, it's the only sort of problematic game, I'd say, for Son in terms of facing a difficult defence is Liverpool in game week 36.
Yeah.
Right, so they do have, I believe it's Man United and West Ham at some point before then, but neither of those are defensively resolute. So I think he's a good long haul pick and probably someone I would, injuries aside, be looking to keep for a long time. Also worth noting, he is third on the midfield point scoring chart. So it's only Bowen and Salah ahead of him. And Bowen and Salah have been ridiculous this season.
Yeah. Even with that injury, still third. That's good going. That's really good
it is. He has not blanked in his last 7 outings. Obviously, that he had the 2 week. He was missing for 2 weeks with an injury. In the midst of all that, so if you take the last 7 games he's played, he's got either an assist or a goal, and he got both against Norwich. He's got 9 goals and 5 assists this season, which is looking really good. 11 bonus. He does well in bonus as well. He is pretty massively outperforming his XG. That's not surprising for a player of Son's caliber. He is quite clinical. So I think that's something you typically see is very consistent. We know what we get, but his XG, just for podcast listeners' sake, is 6.31. His XA is 2.63. Yeah. So as I said, he's outperforming that, but it's just not, I just don't think it's something that you worry about with someone like Son. So the big question is, when are you getting him in? Because it's just so good. He makes me smile. I feel like I'm happier with the world when I have Son in my team.
Absolutely.
So I'm just waiting to get him in.
I think those that follow me and follow my channel will know that I had the Sunny 6 last season, which is all came about when I had the whole situation where I got off of Son and he ended up scoring. I got back on him. He did nothing. And then we had that situation where Jose said he wasn't going to play. So I sold him again and he scored another boatload of goals. So basically he got like 6 goals in the couple of games that I didn't have him. And so when I got him back in, I was like, right, that is it. Son stays in my team now until he has given me back all 6 points. So I had the Sunny 6 and basically fair play to him, even within like, I think the first 5 game weeks he'd repaid back all of those goals, and he pretty much stayed in my team then until the rest of the season. So I absolutely love Sonny. What I do just want to say though, to those watching the stream, is that some of these stats may have, game week 24 information on them, and some of the stuff we might mention might be mentioning with the game week 24 just because of the crossover. So check any updates, and bear all of that in mind, because we have some of the fixtures, like Game Week 24 fixtures on screen. It's just for reference, really, so you guys can see what they've been doing in the games that we've just been discussing and how they've been doing in them, really.
And hopefully we'll start to get into a normal rhythm.
Yeah, hopefully.
Since Christmas, really, it's been quite challenging because there's been so many crossover weeks, which does make data a little bit difficult because obviously you've got some teams who've played an extra game.
Absolutely.
And some who have not.
Yeah, so you want to kind of mention what's happening in the current game week so people get a reference of like which teams they've just faced and, you know, where they're at currently, or they've, you know, whether they've just added to it and things like that. But it you know, the crossovers can make it really difficult. So, you know, if we've got anything, you know, where the crossovers happen, then, you know, just bear that in mind, and hopefully yes, hopefully in the next game week or two we'll be, as Kylie said there, we'll be back on it with that one. But thanks so much to everyone who's joined us on our first ever Watchlist stream for Fantasy Football Scout. You know, it's been great. Welcome, Steve, to the chat. I noticed that you're in about. That's good. And James Morgan as well. He says midfielder 3 for future template. So thinks you know, premium mids will be the way to go, which you know, I agree. And Mikel, I had Kane as my captain. So disappointing. I felt a bit better since I got Ramsey in my team. So yay!
Lovely.
Hopefully you got him in off of the back of my watch list pick last week.
You're just going to milk that one forever.
I am, just for a little while, whilst I can. Okay, guys. Well, best of luck for the up and coming game week. I hope you all smash it. Before you go, here's Kylie to wrap us up with a bit of admin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just noticed in the chat, Nuclear Adams has asked, this is, I think you're referring to the stream. It is going to be live from now on. So we did just difficult schedules and everything. The first few weeks were recorded just so that we could get ourselves sorted. But it is going to be live streamed from now on. And it's been brilliant fun having you guys in the chat. Yeah. Listening to us waffle away. I hope we said something of value for you and had you thinking. But please always leave us a comment to let us know what players you're thinking about. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the show. You can also find links to our content below on YouTube and basically have fun with the game week ahead. We wish you the best of luck and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.